Dinner's over. You actually counted, how many times you talked. 4, maybe 5 if pass the salt counts twice. Everyone else was talking over each other, laughing at half-finished jokes. And you just watched, not bored, not shy, just watching. On the ride home your partner asks if you had a good time. You did, you actually did, but you already know what's coming next. You were pretty quiet tonight. You've heard that sentence in about 9 different outfits your whole life. Here's the thing nobody's told you. You're not quiet because something's missing. You're quiet because something's running in the background that most people don't have. And once you see it, you're never going to look at your own silence the same way again. Most people's brains work like a garden hose. Thought goes in one end. Words come out the other. Barely any delay. Yours works more like customs. Every thought gets stopped and searched. Is this actually true? Do I need to say this? Or just think it? Has someone already said this 3 times tonight? By the time your brain waves it through, the conversation's already 3 topics down the road. So you say nothing, and everyone quietly files that away as doesn't have much to say. Which, honestly, might be the most annoying misread there is. Because the opposite is true. You had plenty to say. You just didn't think it was worth interrupting for. This isn't just something you're imagining. By the way, there's actual research behind it. Back in the 80s, a psychologist at Harvard named Jerome Kagan ran an experiment on babies. New faces, new sounds, random stuff, and found that about 1 in 5 reacted way more intensely than the rest. He called them high-reactive, and he tracked a bunch of them for decades. Guess who they grew up into? The quiet ones, the ones sizing up a room before saying a word in it. And the interesting part isn't that these kids were broken, it's that they were taking in more signal, more processing, more time needed to get through it all. If you've ever felt like you're translating a conversation in real time while everyone else just glances at the headline. Yeah, that's you. There's a second study worth mentioning. From 2010, a researcher named Matthias Mehl basically wired people up with recorders for days and listened back to thousands of hours of real conversation. His finding was almost annoyingly simple. The people who did less small talk and more actual talking were happier. Not louder, not more social, just more real when they did open their mouth. Which tracks? Right, you're not avoiding people, you're just allergic to filler. Okay, but let's not pretend this doesn't come with a bill. Because it does. You've been asked whether you're okay more times than you can count. By people who barely know you. In a tone that's already decided the answer is no. You were fine. You're a little less fine now that you've had to perform fine out loud for the 3rd time this week. The meeting ends and you had 3 good ideas that never left your head. While Brad from marketing gets 11 straight minutes to talk about his weekend that nobody asked about. You replay it on the drive home. The point you should have made at minute 14. The pushback you had loaded at minute 22. And worse than the missed moment is what people do with the silence instead. They decide it means something it doesn't. Cold, judging, not interested, when actually you were the most locked-in person in that room. You watch the loud guy get called a great communicator and get the promotion. And for 1 weak second you wonder if you should just talk more. Say more stuff, even the half-formed nonsense. Because clearly that's what's working for everyone else. Here's what that second doesn't account for. Though, when you actually do talk, people go quiet, not because you're loud enough to demand it. You're not, but because somewhere in the back of their head, they've learned you don't talk unless it matters. That's not nothing. That's a kind of trust most people spend years trying to build and never quite get. Think about it. Who do your friends actually tell their secrets to? Not the loudest person in the group chat. You, because they know it stops there. So no, you're not the quiet one at the party who has nothing going on. You're the one running the whole thing through an editor before it's allowed out. Cutting what doesn't matter so what's left actually lands. If any of this sounded uncomfortably specific, tell me in the comments. The dumbest thing someone's ever said about you being too quiet. I read all of them.